Hey guys, Edgar here. Have you seen those dream homes that everybody posts on Instagram? Hashtag goals? Well, I just bought one. All right, I lied. This house is actually being listed by a good friend and client of mine, Wesley. All right, let's go inside. Now, before we get started, you might be wondering, who the hell is this guy and what does he know about buying a house? Well, for starters, I'm an expert public adjuster, emphasis on the expert, and I'm the best, emphasis on the best. And I'm also a homeowner myself. But I am not as knowledgeable as I look. That is why I brought some friends over that are experts in this field to guide you through the home buying process. So now I'm gonna walk you through the 8 steps of buying a home. The first step is get a feel for the housing market.
How do you do that? Go online, start browsing. There's a bunch of great websites. One is not better than the rest of them, right? Those are best for informational purposes, just to see what's on the market currently. An idea of what areas you want to be in, what kind of homes you want to purchase. Also, another key thing that you want to look at is neighborhoods and areas, right? What price points do you need to be at in certain neighborhoods? From there, you also want to consider affordability. That's a little bit further down the road too, but you want to start thinking about it because you want to compare neighborhood to neighborhood or home to home. And you really want to start asking yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? What schools are there? What restaurants? Is it walkable? What are your specific needs and what are you looking for in a home? And those are the questions that you need to ask yourself.
The next step is to determine what you can afford.
There's a lot of factors that go into that, including not only your mortgage payment and your interest rate, but also you got to look at HOA and condo fees, property taxes, insurance, or any other payments that you might have in this particular property. Your mortgage, it's going to really depend on your credit score, the interest rate you get, which also depends on your credit score, and that's going to give you a payment on that amount. You shouldn't really spend beyond your means, and you want to keep it anywhere between 30 to 40%, depending in your neighborhood, of your total income. But other factors that go into that, which are included in that 30 to 40%, would be your property taxes. They vary by city and location, so you need to look into that. Your insurance, that's gonna depend on the age of the home, any upgrades it has, any mitigation, so that's very important.
What do I need my credit score to be at? And then go back and look at, hey, what's my credit score at now? And what do I need to have my debt to income ratio looking like in order to make sure that I qualify for the amount of house that I want to be buying? Unfortunately, you're subject to the game that the banks and that the mortgage brokers want to play, which is what they refer to as your debt to income ratio. What they're going to do is they're going to start at the very, very top, right? They're going to say, hey, this is how much you made for the year, right? Then we take that and we divide that to get to a monthly number. So they divide it by 12. Then what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, cool, you qualify or you can spend on all of the debt that you have as a human being at 42.5% of whatever that number is that's your monthly number. That's going to give you your debt to income ratio, right? Now, the problem is when we're calculating what can you actually spend towards a house, we have to go out and we have to subtract student loan debt, any other credit card debt that you may have, car payments, hospital bills, or any other ongoing debt that you have. Once we've done that, then what we can do is we basically are left with the remainder. The remainder is what we can spend on the house. The only issue for us is that that remainder has to be able to include property tax, your homeowner's insurance, your flood insurance, and if there is possible HOA, right, a homeowners association. Whatever those numbers combine to, and the nice thing and the importance of having a good realtor is they'll help you figure out what all of that math is. Whatever's left comes down to a mortgage number. The good news, and I don't want you to feel terrified, is that a mortgage when spread over 30 years is a very small amount of money per month. So even if your math leaves you with only $1,000, that doesn't mean you can't buy a house. It just means you can't buy $1 million house. Instead, you have to buy a $300,000 house.
All right, the next step number 3, is to get you pre-approved for your mortgage.
So a pre-qualification is only going to last for a certain amount of time, so you don't want to do that until you're close to ready to buy. It's going to require a soft inquiry, right? But what is helpful is to be able to go out and say, hey, these are the pieces of the situation in the formula that I can control. I can control my credit score, right? I can control knowing what size house I can go out and afford. No matter what I would be sitting there and saying is, okay, I'm gonna need about $10,000 in order to cover closing costs. Then there's really 3 tiers beyond that. There's first-time home buyers at 3.5%, there's 10%, and then the highest that you're probably gonna be looking at is 20% down. So if you could figure out the math and say 20% plus $10,000, that's worst case scenario. Best case scenario being 3.5% plus $10,000, now you know what your bracket is.
Some programs have lower down payments, some have higher down payments, and you want to see what is going to be best for your specific scenario. Sit down with the lender, they'll run through everything, and a great lender will give you different options and help you select the best fit for you.
Step 4, find the right realtor.
That's really important because that person is going to be your advocate for the rest of the transaction. You want to remember the 3 R's when selecting a realtor: referrals, reviews, and the realtor's resume. You want to ask around and see if anybody knows of good agents and they've had previous good experiences with them in the past. You don't want to just hire anybody or somebody you just know. You want to make sure that they have reviews online as well, and you want to see that they have a proven track record of getting the job done. Finally, their resume. Ask them for recent sales in the area. Make sure they know that market. There's so many realtors out there, but there's very few good ones. So make sure you make that right selection. Maybe you should consider interviewing different agents and then seeing if they're gonna be a good fit for you. There's gonna be a lot of steps down the road which can become hurdles in the process if you don't make the right selection. If you do, you're gonna be set up for success, and this individual is gonna help you through every part of that transaction.
Now the fun part, shop for a home and make an offer.
This is when you get to touch, feel, and experience all the different properties on the market. Hopefully you selected the right real estate agent previously, and you're gonna have your advocate for the rest of the transaction. They're gonna be there to point out which homes are the right ones and which ones are the wrong ones.
Buy the home that's what you would say is contractor built. So what that means is all of the difficult, super expensive stuff to go back and redo, the plumbing, the concrete work, the wall work, all of that type of stuff. As long as that's correct, then you can go back and you can change the tile, you can go back and change the cabinets, you can go back and change the shelves, you can go back and change anything else that you want to do. But make sure when you're buying the house that you're buying the stuff that's contractor proof.
An agent is going to be able to tell you which homes have hidden defects, which ones you need to be careful with, and also tell you which ones are going to be the best bang for your buck. They're going to be able to negotiate on your behalf to make sure you have one of the strongest offers on the table. They should also know if your market is a buyer or a seller's market. So then that way, you're going to have a head up on the competition when it comes time to submit your offer. When you select the right one, your next step is drafting an offer, putting it together, and sending it to your sellers. In that step, the agent is going to be there to negotiate on your behalf, make sure you're making a good offer based on previous sales, based on market activity. Once you do all that, you got a lot more stuff coming up.
Step 6, time for a home inspection.
Remember those hidden defects? Well, this is where they're going to be coming to light.
Whoa, holy crap.
Hopefully, your agent would have already asked about some of these to make sure you know what you're purchasing. But if not, you're going to figure them all out here if you hire the right inspector. Want to ask for referrals, reviews, and resume here as well. Referrals as anybody who has used this inspector in the past to make sure that they didn't miss anything when they moved into the house. Reviews, check them out online. There's all that information at your fingertips. This is a very important part of the process. And of course, resume. Make sure that they inspect the kind of property that you're purchasing. When those defects come to light, and most of the time they will, hopefully your agent knows how to handle them. If you pick the right one, they will. One of 3 things typically happens at this juncture. You could either decide to proceed as is, you could decide to cancel, or you could decide to renegotiate based on the inspection findings. Now, If it hasn't been disclosed to you previously and you weren't aware of them, most sellers are reasonable. They are under no obligation to agree to them, but most of the time, everybody could come to a meeting of the minds and you get to go to closing, or at least the next step.
If all is good with the inspection, it's time for the lending process. This includes getting the home appraised, getting insurance, and not just any insurance, the proper insurance, and making sure the title is clean.
Now we get to move on to lending. That could get kind of interesting too. Here, they're gonna ask you for a ton of paperwork. They're gonna really wanna get to know who you are, what you do, and make sure you're gonna pay them back. I mean, they are lending you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here, they're gonna wanna get to know everything about you, including how much money you make every year. They wanna get paperwork from your employer, or if you're self-employed, and they wanna get to know you and the house too. Now, when it comes to the house, they wanna make sure that the appraisal is actually gonna meet what you're purchasing the property for, that title is clear and there's no hidden defects there, and also that the home is insurable because they wanna get that money back. So once you get through all of that, which takes about 21 to 30 days, you get to move on to closing.
Finally, you have to do the paperwork and close the deal.
You made it. You get to go to closing. After you jump through all these hoops, you had to deal with all these people, you finally get to sign on the dotted line. There are a few things that you need to worry about before you sign that paperwork on your closing day. You want to make sure you have a walkthrough of the home and the sellers have moved out of the home, right? You want to make sure they've moved out all of their belongings as well, and the property is in the same condition from when you previously saw it and inspected it up until the time of closing. All of that gets checked off. You get to go to your title company of choice where you're going to be signing your paperwork and getting your new home. They're going to tell you how much money you need to bring. You're going to be basically signing away your firstborn child, but you get a brand new home to call your humble abode.
Let's face it, buying a home can be very intimidating. That is why it's so important that you get the right help. If it's the right time, it is so much smarter than renting and a milestone that you'll always remember. For all the Miami viewers, if you're interested in the best representation in South Florida, Luxe Properties is the agency for you. For top-notch financial consulting, there's nobody better than my friend David. For the most thorough and detailed home inspections, look no further than TrueView Inspections. Last but not least, for the best support with any and all property damage claims, call us at Monarch Claims. As always, all these details can be found in the description below. Guys, I really appreciate everyone for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe. Until next time, we at Monarch Claims wish you happy house hunting.